Welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. This one's going to look a little different, it's going to feel a little different, and it's going to sound a little different. I was fortunate enough to have a booth at the NRA annual meetings Radio Row, which is something new the NRA is doing at their annual meetings. I was able to do a number of audio-only interviews, and what you're about to hear is one of those. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. If you're listening to the show in podcast form, please leave a positive review. And if you like the show, share it with your friends, because that is how we get the Stagecoach across America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. This is one of the pit stops that we are doing at the NRA annual meetings, which are just going to be some audio recordings that we're putting out. And right now I have with me Dennis Fusaro, who is an NRA Board of Director member. Thank you for being on the show, Dennis.
Thank you, Charlie.
Let's talk NRA stuff. How did you get involved? How did you get involved in?
Well, I've been an NRA member since the 80s. I became a life member in 90, I believe it was 94. And I worked for Gun Owners of America in the 90s and into the early 2000s. I eventually ran their state and local affairs division. I was director of state and local affairs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I had a lot of experience working in state legislatures on behalf of grassroots gun owners all across the country. Didn't have to do California. That was done by Gun Owners of California.
Well, that's good. Nobody wants to do that, even though they have a lot of work out there. But
we did a lot of interesting stuff in Virginia, Oklahoma, New Hampshire. Worked on various
New Hampshire.
Oh yeah.
Really?
So New Hampshire, I worked with, and actually he came to the board meetings and here the committee meetings. Dave Wheeler, executive counselor Dave Wheeler from New Hampshire, and J.R. Horrell, who's the sponsor of the constitutional carry bill that passed in New Hampshire finally.
Oh, that's cool.
But we started out. When I was with Dave, we started out with pushing something called lifetime carry as a segue to go to, once you get a permit for life and you don't have to renew it, then just get rid of the permit and you can carry.
That's a great.
That was the plan.
That sounds like a great
Because we were
plan.
going to argue, hey, everybody's carrying, you're not checking them every 2 years, 5 years, so why not just get rid of it?
That sounds like a great plan. Yeah, New Hampshire's a lot of live free or die. I live in Massachusetts. I'm an instructor up there, and I got my New Hampshire permit, and it was only $25. It was good for 4 years, and then I think I let it lapse, and then when I renewed it, it was $100, and it was good for 4 years, and then they went to permitless carry. So I'm like, all right, why am I wasting $100 doing this?
Right.
So
there may be some utility in times and places to have the permit.
Right.
It's like in Virginia, I have the concealed carry permit. It helps me get out of like one gun a month.
Right. All right. So
anyway, in late 2023, Judge Phil Journey, who had been on the NRA board and then kind of was pushed off, if I could say it politely, asked me to run for the NRA board. And I'm like, well, what do you have to do? And, because in my mind, I'd remembered the old days where you had to get like 1,500, 2,000 signatures. And he said, no, because the voting totals have gone down. You only have to get 371. I was still skeptical.
Right.
But I said, okay. And Phil has a pretty good network, and there's some other people. Steve Schreiner out of Colorado helped me. And I did my own collecting, and I broke the threshold, and I think I got like 525 signatures, and 370 and one of them were good. So I got this call from John Fraser, the secretary, said, yeah, you're on the ballot. So,
wow.
So I told Phil, I'm not going to make it on the ballot. Then I'm on the ballot. And then I said, to Phil and the others. And I was running with Jeff Knox and Rocky Marshall and Phil Journey. So we called ourselves the Four for Reform.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw any of our literature. Probably not.
What year was this?
2024 was that
2024
that NRA board election.
All right, because I want to say that you might have been one of them. You guys were sitting and talking with Rob Pincus, and they're like, "These are the four reform guys." I'm like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." And
was that last year?
It was last year.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. So, got on the ballot, and then I was like, "But I'm never going to win because they got it rigged."
Yeah,
and to a certain extent, they still did through the nominating committee. But what I discovered, what I noticed had happened, was that the old system of controlling the vote through the magazine, I believe, had broken down, and now social media, ammoland.com, John Richardson's blog, Only Guns and Money, all the different people, they now could both report on what was happening with the NRA and communicate to grassroots NRA members, those who chose to vote, what's going on, and maybe there was something else they should do besides just follow the lead out of the magazine.
Right.
So anyway, next thing I know, I got elected, and I'm like, I'm like the dog that caught the bus. What do I do with it? So, I mean, I had known, because of my work with GOA and being involved and knowing people like Neil Knox back in the day and Ronan Coleman and various people that had been in that earlier iteration of controversy at the NRA with the Charlton Heston presidency. I knew a lot about what had happened and what had been going on. And then, going forward, I would keep my finger on the pulse a little bit and watch what was happening. I saw some of the stuff building out of the New York case, and I still didn't know everything that was going on. Next thing you know, I'm on the board, so I just said, I can do one of two things. I can be a mushroom, sit in the dark and eat manure, or I can find out what's going on.
Right.
And I've chosen the role on the board, and you could check with other board members. Some people think I'm a troglodyte. Some people think I'm doing good work. I decided to be the guy that was going to ask those questions and ask them out loud in a way that if you're a board member and you hear my questions and you ignore them, then you're not doing your fiduciary duty.
Sure.
Or you've bought into a narrative that allows you to not have to engage the facts of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if I ask those questions, I've had many board members come up to me saying, thank you for what you're asking. Thank you for how you're analyzing it and how you're reporting it. So that's been the role I took on. As a board member, with the staff, I never tell them what to do. I can ask questions, I can request documents, and I can go through the various policy-making vehicles of the board to make a policy change if we think one's necessary. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's been the battle, was to basically change the dynamic at the NRA so that the NRA is no longer, first aid, stop the bleeding, start the breathing, right? Try to save the patient, right? So first, my view, regardless of my views on how legislative policy was done or should be done, without an organization that's financially alive, there's no point arguing about how do we do gun public policy, gun rights policy, how do we fight legislation, how do we elect pro-gun candidates. I think we're basically there. Now we've got to go and convince the grassroots people that have left the NRA, they were members and they dropped off, or they're grassroots people, they care about their Second Amendment rights, and they're looking at the NRA and they're saying, well, my friends quit the NRA, why should I join? And I'm very concerned about the younger generation. I mean, I have 6 children. My youngest son is not quite 18. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and I know how he thinks. I know how he loves to shoot, he loves to hunt.
Right.
But joining the NRA, he would never have joined the NRA if I hadn't bought him a membership after I got on the board.
Right.
Okay, so we need to reach out to those young guys, and it's my belief they want to fight. And so my next step after saving the body, the heart's still pumping, is I want to show the grassroots, I want to show them that there's fight in the NRA, and we're going to fight for their rights. And I want you, it's not just you sit on the sideline and we're going to fight. I want you in the fight. I believe grassroots need to get involved. Mm-hmm. I believe grassroots should go to their state legislature and talk to those legislators directly. I think they should call. I think they should email. I think they should use all the various social media to communicate with their legislators. So we have a lot of power if we organize it and use it right. Mm-hmm. So that's my view.
Gotcha. I know the big emphasis has been on going back to training, education, and getting back to competitive shooting. And do you think that's going to be one of the things? Like, do you think it's actually going to happen? Do you think it's? I mean, this is what the NRA's been doing for years and years and years.
Well, it has been doing, but as you know, the battle with the New York AG, a lot of resources were shifted from supporting that world, the education and training division, mm-hmm. into fighting the lawsuit. Right. Rightly or wrongly, wisdom or not, we can have that debate or talk about that some other time or today. But no, and then the type of shooting that the younger generation is into, they want to hear. I believe they want to hear the plink, the sounds.
Sure.
They want the action, the move, and shoot. And I bullseye shooting. I got my M1 Garand through DCM back when it was DCM. Now it's CMP.
Right.
But and that was fun. And it was fun going down to the post office and having the former hippie in Reston, Virginia, now working in the post office, hand me this box. It started to break open. She goes, "What is that?" I said, "It's an M1 Garand." She says, "What's that?" I said, "It's a rifle." She said, "You can't ship a rifle through the U.S. mail." I said, "U.S. Army can do whatever it wants."
Guess where
and I got in my car and got out of there quickly. But anyway.
Guess who I got it from? I got it from the government.
Yeah.
They'll ship it through the post office.
Right. But my point being is, I mean, that was fun for me. That was new for me. But, the younger generation wants more action. I believe they want more action in their shooting competitions and their sports, and also more action legislatively, or public policy wise. So, again, my point is, and that's where I did most of my work for the Second Amendment. I did some competition. I did some shooting. I organized concealed carry handgun classes in Virginia when we reformed the law in 1995, took it from may issue to shall issue. Nice. Groups like VCDL, I don't know if you know about VCDL.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
And so for a time I ran their pack.
Oh, cool.
Back in about 15 years ago. And so, so we need to bring people into that fight. That's my experience. That's my talent set, and that's what I want to deliver to the NRA. And so that's where I'm looking to play my part.
Gotcha. Do you think there are enough of the reformers that got elected, right?
There are. I mean, short of, something spectacular happening, I think you're going to see some serious changes at the board meeting tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not to say that the people that don't agree with us and where we're going, it doesn't mean they're per se bad people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I try to be friends with them. I try to reach out to them,
right.
And I want their talents and skills in the NRA where they can make a difference. And many of them have great talents and skills.
Oh, of course. I mean, everyone's got to find their field and their field of expertise and their talents and skills, and you need to be able to utilize them. You know? So this is why it's nice to have a diverse background of people that are on the board.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So just looking at some things, I think we have some opportunities both nationally with HR 38, and I believe John Comerford's going to be pushing that very hard. John Comerford, head of ILA.
The new head of ILA.
The new head of ILA.
What is HR 38?
It's national reciprocity for concealed carry.
Excellent.
Okay. That's a good first step. And then the next thing, in various states, I think we've got various states where we've got opportunities. I think Florida is one where we've got opportunity, and I'd like to see some things happen down there.
Yeah. And
I'd like to see the grassroots get involved in that. Now, I know Florida's a big state, and getting to Tallahassee is hard, but, for some people far south or far west. But, I think we have an opportunity to move Florida into being a true constitutional carry state by at least fighting for open carry, fighting to repeal the 18 to 20-year-old gun purchase ban that was put in. And, I'm vehemently opposed to red flag laws because I think they're a denial of due process.
Oh, of course. In Massachusetts, we have this is the ridiculousness of a new law that we have in Massachusetts where 18 to 20-year-olds, if they have a firearm identification card, if they had a firearm identification card, but they bought something before July 31st of 2024, they could have a semi-automatic rifle or shotgun, not a magazine restriction. But as of August 1st, 2024, they were not able to purchase it.
So they grandfathered back in. I'm not that familiar with Massachusetts.
That's okay,
I know
because it's all screwy.
Okay.
It is.
It's kind of like Oregon's law. Another mess.
Yeah, it's when the non-gun folks get involved in making these gun laws, it's just they think it's going to be some sort of a bandage, but they don't know what the terms are, and then they screw things up because they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
And I tell this all the time. I teach licensing class up in Massachusetts, and so when we go through all the legal nonsense, people say, well, I can have this, but I can't. I can have a high cap magazine, but it has to be made before 1994.
And how do you tell, right?
Right. How do you tell? And I'm like, well, if it's a Glock, it's got a U notch, and if it's a square notch, then it doesn't. And then for the 10 years we had the assault weapon ban, it had for law enforcement and government use only. But I said if it's a Smith & Wesson M&P, then you can't because they didn't have M&Ps before '94. So it's a whole new mess. But with this particular the law with the newest mess is you can have high cap magazines. You can take them to the range. They don't want you to keep them stored in your house, loaded, and they don't want you to carry them. So to me, it's the Michael Bloomberg, the big gulp drink. right? Like 32 ounces is too much of a sugary soda drink to have, but you can have two 22-ounce sodas, and that's
Right.
fine. So you can't have one 15-round magazine, but you
It's
can have two 10 rounds.
it's the public policy version of an Escher drawing.
That is a great way to put it.
It can't exist in three-dimensional space. It can't really make any sense because it's illogical.
Right.
Right.
That is a fantastic
And
way to
that's
put
a
it.
lot of legislators are like that. I've seen them make the sausage. They think that they can write it up, pass it, and somehow it's going to be.
It's going to be right. Yeah. The another one of the good ones in Massachusetts is our definition of a firearm. I'm using air quotes when I say firearm. A firearm is a handgun. So we have firearms, rifles, and shotguns.
Okay.
And the new law, the modernization of it, added rifles and shotguns to the definition of firearms. But we have an approved firearms roster, which are handguns that you can get from a dealer. Yeah, I see.
Oh,
I
like
see.
the old Maryland handgun law.
Yes.
Handgun board.
Yeah, and so there are certain guns that you can get from a dealer. It's not that you can't have other guns. So if somebody from Free America walked under a ladder and they had to move to Massachusetts, they could sell me a Gen 5 Glock, which is fine for me to buy and fine for them to have. They just can't buy it new from a dealer.
From a dealer.
Yeah, and if the dealer sold it to them, then the dealer would get in trouble for that. Or has the
Amazing.
potential. Yeah.
Well, may I circle back to one point?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope the younger generation, young people, like we got this great new board member, Knox Williams, young guy. I mean, into with the silencer,
With the suppressors, yeah.
suppressors. Excuse me.
No,
And-
that's okay.
And Knox is, we need that young energy. I mean, I've got about another 5 years, and then I'm 70. Okay, so, I want to leave something to the younger generation. So what I'm hoping is that we can start to communicate the NRA the tools we have. But the tools that we have in such a way that people get involved in new and more creative ways. Because the other side, if you will, is not going to sit back and just wait. It's kind of like playing football. Okay, if you're on the field and you're running around, you're trying not to get hit, and you're going to get hurt. But if you're delivering a blow, you can come out of that game pretty strong and okay.
Right.
And so what I'm saying in this sense is, we need to look at the tools we have, the things that grassroots gun owners can bring to the fight and apply in the political public policy realm. And why are we doing this? So we can just do politics because we like politics? No, so that you can go out and shoot, and you can go out and hunt, and you can go out and and you can carry safely, and you're not going to be turned into a criminal. There's a reality behind this. The NRA is an organization that really represents a social movement. If you ever read Edward Leddy's book about the revolt in Cincinnati, it wasn't just about taking over the NRA. It was a social and cultural conflict between one view and another view of how life should be in the United States. And I'm asking the young people, the gun tubers, everybody that you're in your audience, take a hard look about how you can be involved, and don't wait for orders from headquarters, and don't let people talk you off the horse. Make them shoot the horse out from under you, and then get back on a new horse.
Very cool. Very cool. How do you think people can grow membership? Because membership's been declining, and it's dropped drastically over the last several years.
Yeah. Well, I think the way you grow, my opinion, the way you grow membership, it's kind of like if you ever saw Braveheart, the Battle of Stirling, and the nobles are out talking to each other, and Mel Gibson rides out there and says, his friend says, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm going to pick a fight." We need to pick fights, legitimate fights. I mean, in the proper political sense. And we're doing it already culturally, and we just need to go out and pick these fights and say, hey, here's what's going on. Come get involved, and not say leave it. I don't say leave it to the professionals, because quite often the professionals don't do it right.
This is true. Is this your first term?
My first term?
Your first term with the BOD?
Yes, and I probably won't be on after 2027.
Gotcha. You're stirring it up that much.
Yeah, it's just, I mean,
someone's got to, which is great.
I did it to stop the bleeding, start the breathing. Okay, then the new reformers that are coming on this year, and hopefully more next year, and reformers. I mean, look, people who want to make the organization strong and stronger.
Right.
Okay. A lot of our choices are not between good and bad it's between good and better. And I'm trying to get us to better, because sometimes good is not good enough, and that makes it bad.
Right. for sure. What about this year? They had online voting this year, didn't they?
You could vote. Yes, I'm so old school. I heard about the electronic ballots, but
right.
No. Every ballot has to be mailed. I'm sorry. They did not have electronic voting. That's coming.
Okay, gotcha. Because I know I'm old school, right? And I used to go through, and even just 7 or 8 years ago, I'd go through and I would vote for the people whose names I recognized.
Right.
And that's good or bad. That's kind of what it was.
And a lot of that still happens.
Sure, absolutely. Because it's shocking to me that Amanda Sufcool has been a very good friend of mine, so she's been pushing for a lot of things, and she's been doing a lot of podcasts over the last few months. And I'll hear her on a podcast, and the hosts of the shows will be upset about the NRA. They'll be pissed off. They're aggravated. We're not sending them any more money. And then she kind of schools them on all the things that they've been up to and all the things the changes that are happening and all the stuff that's going on. And I think they feel kind of humbled about it, because they're just clueless about it. And I think there's a lot of folks that are this way. I think I saw something, oh my gosh, something on Facebook this morning. There are 2.5 million ballots were sent out.
Yes.
And then 72,000
on
came
the order
back?
of 74,000 returned and about 72,000 and change counted.
Yeah.
Because of various, there were some
Right.
issues. Somebody voted for more than 28, for
Right.
example.
Yeah,
that ballot got discarded.
Gotcha. So it's shocking to me that there are people that are that clueless. You know what I mean?
Well, there's been a lot of information that came out about what was being done that was wrong, and we are fixing what has been done wrong. And my argument as a board member and someone who's been active in gun rights politics since 1988 is you fix the problem. Now we're back to steady state. Now what do we got to do to go forward? And that means we have to offer more. In other words, I'm not trying to bring the NRA back to what it was before all this scandal occurred.
Yeah.
We need to go, okay, it's not just, okay, now we're back to where we were in 2016. No, we fixed that problem, and now here's something new and more for you guys and gals.
Yeah,
And again, I focus on public policy and legislative stuff because that's what I know. And you pick a fight, get people involved. I mean, there's a whole world out there where people. I'm not trying to be condescending or gratuitous in any way. They don't understand the process, and I think we can tell them the process so that they know they can take charge of the fight for themselves, working with the NRA, ILA. Okay, and by the way, you join the other groups. I'm a life member of GOA, of VCDL. I think I'm in Texas State Rifle Association and New Hampshire Firearms Coalition. It's just I can't remember when all the renewals come up. So
right.
But belong to those groups. If they put out a good alert or an action item and you read it, take action.
Yeah. That's why they call them
go to the
action items.
events, hang out with people, go shooting, and talk about legislation and talk about who the good candidates are, who aren't the good candidates, what you can do to make a difference. It's more than just voting, too. I mean, gun owners in a district can help organize a campaign, make a campaign effective. They can volunteer. They can donate, okay, even if you're not in the district. And you can bring other people into the fight. So we have a lot of power, and the victory goes to those who are the best organized.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, listen, we need to wrap things up. Anything else you'd like to say, Dennis?
No, just thank you for letting me come on board and have a conversation with you.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to the show. And we will share this with your friends. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.